Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is to show you how to make this absolutely dreamy wavy looking hair bow. Isn't this absolutely stunning? I used a tails down base bow and it just worked so perfectly with this bow. So here is the step-by-step tutorial on how you could make this bow. You will need your hot glue gun, a lighter to heat seal the ends of your ribbon. I've got a few fabric clips here. If you haven't got fabric clips, you can use hair clips. I've got a few pins here as well. I'm just going to set those aside. I've got my needle threaded with some strong thread and I've popped a knot in the end. I've got my Fiskars fabric scissors and of course 3 pieces of ribbon, of which I will show you the measurements in a moment. All of the products that I've just shown you I will link in the description below, so if you press on the title of the video that will bring up the description and the links to all of these products. You will also need a hair clip or a headband or an elastic, whatever you would like to attach your hair bow to. So 3 pieces of ribbon. These 2 shorter pieces are for the main part of the bow and this longer piece here is for the tails base bow. So I'll show you the length of this one first. So all 3 pieces of ribbon are 1.5 inch wide or 4 centimetre wide ribbon. And this piece for the bottom bow is 42 centimetres in length or just over 16.5 inches in length. And these 2 pieces again are the same width as before, 1.5 inch wide or 4 centimetre wide ribbon. And the 2 pieces are cut to 29 centimetres in length or just under 11.5 inches in length. As you can see, I've already popped a couple of pins in this one. I will show you the measurements of where to put the pins on this piece. But first of all, we're going to take a lighter and we're going to heat seal all of the ends of our ribbon. And what this does is that gets rid of any of these little frays and it also prevents any further fraying. So you need to do that on all of the raw edges of your ribbon. So bringing in a couple of pins to do the second piece of ribbon, because I've already done this one, and my tape measure. So we're going to measure in from the outside edges to 10.5 centimetres. So 10.5 centimetres or just a fraction over 4 inches. I'm sorry, I don't know my inches very well because I tend to work more with centimetres. So at 10.5 centimetres, I'm going to pop that pin in there. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite end. So bringing this pin over ready, measuring in to 10.5 centimetres or just over 4 inches and popping that pin in that side. And then you should be left with a gap in the middle of 8 centimetres. So you can just double check that to make sure. And you can also fold your ribbon in half to make sure that the pins are in line like that. And now I'm going to set these 2 pieces aside and we're going to take our longer piece of ribbon, which was the 42 centimetre piece, and you will need 3 more pins. First of all, we're going to fold this ribbon in half to find the centre, and then grabbing one of the pins, popping it in that centre mark. I'm just double checking that. Yep. And then from the centre part, we're going to measure 5.5 centimetres either side, and again pop a pin in. So grabbing my tape measure, so 5.5 centimetres or just over 2 inches. Pop another pin in there. And on the opposite side, again, 5.5 centimetres or just over 2 inches, and pop a pin in that side. So this is what it looks like now. We've got the centre marked and then 5.5 centimetres from the centre on either side. Next, taking this right side, I'm going to fold this down toward the left diagonally. So we're folding it to meet this pin here. And you want this at an angle so that there is around a centimetre gap here from where this pin is. So this gap from here to there is 1 centimetre roughly. It doesn't matter too much. Obviously, the bigger the angle, the more closer your tails will be. But I like mine around sort of a centimetre here from this pin. And then we're going to do the same on this left side. So folding this side up to the pin diagonally. And then to make sure this is the same angle, I just make sure that they both overlap here directly in the centre. That way I know that this angle is going to be the same on both sides. So you should have around a centimetre gap on both sides. Taking the fabric clip, I'm going to clip that in place on both sides and also in the middle bottom there, like that, just to make sure that it doesn't go out of place. So this is what we've got now, and now we're ready to stitch in the pinch in the middle. So taking my needle, which is already threaded with some strong thread, and I've got a knot in the end, we're going to stitch our pinch down this middle. And I've got it pinched together tightly so that it won't fall out of place. I can then remove that clip and then start my stitches across this middle. So going in first through this bottom for my first stitch all the way to the knot. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, coming up through the top where they overlap, and then I can remove this pin, and then we're going to do 2 more stitches in this part. 1, 2. So we've got 8 stitches across there all together. So that's what it looks like at the front, and that is the back. Just going to remove these pins out of the way, taking off these clips and the last 2 pins now and setting those aside. We can pull in this pinch. So I'm going to pull on this thread to form that pinch, and then I'm just going to wrap that around the centre a couple of times to hold it all in place. And then on this underside, I'm just going to catch a little bit of the ribbon, go in once, and then on this second go in, I'm not going to pull it completely tight. I'm going to go through this loose loop a couple of times, and that will just form a knot and hold it all in place. So I can trim off the excess thread. I'll just pop a knot in the end of this because that will be long enough to work on our main bow. And then, as you can see, you've got this gorgeous tails down bow for our base. We can set this aside now and work on the top part of the bow. So bringing back our 2 shorter pieces of ribbon, which were 29 centimetres each. Again, the ends have already been heat sealed, and I've already marked in the 10.5 centimetres from the outer edges with 8.5 centimetres space in the middle. So taking our first piece of ribbon, we're going to fold this right side back and diagonal at an angle. We want the bottom fold to be in line with the pin, so I'll just push that in lower so you can see. So as you can see, the bottom fold is right flush up against the pin, and then you want this top gap, so from the pin to this outer edge to be 1 centimetre. So getting my tape measure, I'm just going to fold it out a little bit more. It's 1 centimetre like that, or just under ½ an inch if you prefer to work in inches. So now we know we've got that angle as we like. Taking a fabric clip or a hair clip, whatever you prefer to use, pop that on there to hold it in place. And then taking this left side now, we're going to do the same but the opposite direction. So again, just push that pin down, folding it flush with the pin, so it's flush at the bottom with the pin. And again, we want around 1 centimetre from the pin to the outer edge. You can do it by eye, but I am going to double check for the sake of the tutorial. So yeah, we've got 1 centimetre, or just under ½ an inch from the pin to the outer edge. And then again, grabbing a fabric clip or a hair clip, pop it on there to hold it in place. So this is what we've got now. And next we're going to take these pieces and we're going to take one at a time, and we're going to fold this back like that, and then grab this end and you're going to twist it and flip it downward. And then I'll just show you on the back. We're going to line it up, the raw edge along with the bottom edge, and you will end up with about ½ centimetre overlap at this side. That's fine. I'm just going to pop a clip on there to hold that side in place. Flipping it back round to the front, we're going to do the same with the other piece. So bringing it back and then flipping it downward. And then again on the back side, lining it up, the raw edge along with the bottom, and you should end up with these touching in the middle. I'm just fiddling with them both to make sure I'm getting them level. So you want to all level across the bottom. So this is what the back looks like. And then I'm just going to fold it in half to make sure that it's even, which it is. So you want to make sure that where these touch is central, which it is. So I know that these are nicely lined up. So with those clips on there now, that should hold that all in place. So that is 1/2 now done. I'm going to fold the other half now in exactly the same way. So now we've got our 2 halves the same, except I had to use 1 hair clip on this one, obviously, because I ran out of fabric clips. But yeah, we've got our 2 halves now folded and complete, so we're ready to sew in our pinch. I'll do 1/2 now, and then I'll come back and show you how I did it on the other half. So that is 1/2 with the pinch sewn in. I will show you how to do that on the other half. So taking the needle and thread, we're going to do 12 stitches, 6 on each half. So I'm just going to remove this first clip, keeping it pinched together with my thumb and finger. I'm going to go in through the top, through my first corner, making sure I catch all of the layers, pull it all the way through to the knot, and then coming back up through the bottom to the top for my second stitch, and then my third stitch in through the top to the bottom, and then my fourth stitch, fifth stitch again through the top. So you're just going sort of in and out all the way along that edge. And then our sixth stitch is coming up through this last corner in the middle. And then our seventh stitch, we're going to go directly next to this one to catch that bottom corner. So back through the top, catching the bottom corner. So that stitch is just a tiny one. Removing the other clip now so I can work my way across. Coming back up through the bottom. We're now mirroring the rest of the stitches on the other half. Making sure it keeps in line with the bottom. that is our 8th stitch. Ninth stitch. Sorry, that was our 10th stitch. And then 11. And our last one, our 12th one, coming up through the bottom in that last corner. I'm just going to remove all of these pins and clips now because it's all held together with the stitching. And just to show you the stitching closely, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we can pull on this thread now to form that pinch along the bottom. And then once you've got that really tight, going in through that last edge, catching a couple of layers of the ribbon, going in the second time. This time don't pull it completely tight, go through that loose loop to form a knot, and then trim off the excess thread. And then when you open this up, you can just neaten up your half of the bow. So we've got our 2 halves now sewn, and we're ready to join these 2 halves together in the middle. So I'm just going to grab my hot glue gun. I'm going to place some hot glue in the middle of that part of the bow and then join these 2 halves together. And then we're ready to layer it up on top of the base bow that we made earlier. So I'm going to place some glue across the middle. I like to put at least sort of around 1 inch on, and that just helps to hold the bow in place. So I'm making sure that it's even before I stick it on. And as you can see, that base bow works with this bow perfectly because these loops, sorry, come just out in between these 2 parts, so it looks like it's made perfectly for this bow. I will cut these tails to shape them a little bit at the end, but first of all I'm going to add on my clip. I'm just using this 45mm double prong clip. It's non-toothed. These are just ones I prefer, but you can use whatever you like. You could attach this to a headband, you could attach it to a hair elastic, whatever you like or prefer to use. I've got some matching 1 centimetre wide ribbon to line my clip. This is optional, just something that I always like to do to cover the hardware. So I've now got this half lined clip, which I can now attach to the underside of my bow. So I don't put any glue on the pinch part, just the front half of the clip. And then pop it on the underside of the clip. And then to wrap the centre, I've cut another piece of my ribbon matching this one. So it's a 4 centimetre or 1.5 inch wide. And I've cut this to 6 centimetres in length. And I'm going to do a ruchy centre, or like a twisty centre. I do these quite a lot. You'll notice in my tutorials, I just think they just give the bows a really nice finish. So to do that, I'm not going to bother heat sealing the ends because we're going to do that as we make our twisted centre. So holding both corners of this ribbon, I'm going to push both sides in opposite directions to make like this Z fold, and then we're going to layer those up together. And then using my lighter, this will heat seal the ends at the same time as melting the fibres, acting as a glue to hold it together. So So just let that cool for a second, and then as you can see, that's now held in place. And then I'm going to flip it around and do the same on the opposite end. So holding both of the corners, pushing them in opposite directions, layering them up, and then melting the ends. Being careful not to burn your fingers because the ribbon does get hot. And then that will just hold that together. So this is what it looks like, but then when you pull on both of these ends, you get that lovely twisted look for the center. So I'm going to stick that on the center now. So I like to pop a little bit of glue over the join to make sure that keeps hidden. Pull in that twist, layer it over the center, making sure it's central, and then bring it round to the underside of the bow, moving all the bow pieces out of the way because I don't want to glue them to my little tabs. And then we're going to glue this under the clip. So adding a bit of glue on one end, open the clip, stick it down under the clip, and do the same with the opposite end. Pop some glue on there. Try not to get it on my actual tails. And again, bring that under the clip. I just want that glue to settle before I close the clip because I don't want to glue my clip shut. So once I'm sure that that's cooled down, I can then let the clip go and then just reshape that bow. And then for the tails, I like to cut off diagonally from this outer corner and then inwards, just so they have sort of more of a straighter appearance. So I'm going to do one side first. So working from this inner corner around sort of just over a centimetre or about a centimetre up from this inner corner, I'm going to cut diagonally towards this corner, and I like to slightly curve it just to give it a softer finish. Like that, so it's slightly curved. Then I'm going to do the same with the opposite side. I find it easier to flip it upside down to do it, just because I'm right-handed. And then taking a lighter, you need to heat seal the end of that ribbon. I'm not hardly touching it with the flame. I'm going to turn this right down actually. Oh, it is down. You don't want to hardly touch it with the flame. Just hold the lighter next to it. You can see the fibres on the edges of the ribbon melting, and that is just to prevent any fraying. And there you have that beautiful ruffle effect hair bow with those tails down. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it in the cream colour as well. It's so pretty. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you press the bell button, that will turn on notifications. And I'll be back again soon with another tutorial. Bye for now.